Maria sat quietly on the wooden bench outside her small adobe home, the morning sun casting warm rays across the dusty yard. The soft wind carried the smell of sage and dry earth, a smell she had grown up with and always loved. It reminded her of her childhood, of her family, and of the life she once shared with her husband. Those memories were both comforting and painful. It had been 5 years since she lost him in that tragic accident, and though life had moved on, the hole in her heart had never truly healed. Her days now were filled with routine. She rose early, preparing breakfast for her children, washing dishes, tending to the small garden behind her house, and keeping the home in order. Maria found comfort in the predictability of these tasks. They kept her mind busy. Though in the quiet moments, loneliness settled in like a heavy cloak. She had grown used to her own company, believing she would remain a widow forever. Love, she told herself, was a chapter she had closed. Her children, 2 young boys, were her world. Their laughter and playful arguments brought life back into the small home. They reminded her of the joy she had once known, but they also reminded her of what she had lost. Every evening, after putting them to bed, she would sit by the fire with a cup of tea and allow herself to remember her husband. She would recall his smile, the sound of his laughter, the way he held her hand when she felt sad. These memories made her heart ache, but they were also a source of warmth she clung to. Despite the sorrow, Maria was not without friends. Elena, her childhood friend, had been by her side through every difficult moment. Elena had watched Maria's life unravel when tragedy struck, offering support and kindness without ever pushing her to move on too quickly. She was more than a friend. She was family. The bond between them ran deeper than years, rooted in shared memories, laughter, and tears. Elena knew Maria's grief better than anyone else and respected the time she needed to heal. On this particular morning, Elena arrived at Maria's home with a basket full of freshly baked bread and a smile that could brighten even the gloomiest day. "Good morning, Maria," she said, her voice warm and familiar. "I thought you could use some company." Maria smiled softly, feeling a spark of gratitude. "Thank you, Elena. That smells wonderful." She invited her friend in, and they settled at the small kitchen table. They talked about ordinary things, neighbors, the weather, small gossip from the community, but beneath the surface, there was a comforting sense of connection. Elena knew how to make Maria feel safe, understood, and cared for. After breakfast, they walked together through the narrow paths of the village. Children played in the dust, their laughter ringing through the air. The elders sat outside their homes, sharing stories and advice, while women tended to their gardens or carried water from the well. Maria loved this sense of community. It reminded her that life went on, even in the face of personal sorrow. Elena walked beside her, occasionally nudging her shoulder or teasing her lightly about something trivial. These small gestures made Maria feel alive in a way she hadn't in years. As the sun climbed higher, Maria found herself opening up to Elena in ways she hadn't with anyone else. She spoke of her fears, her dreams, and the quiet longing she felt in her heart. She admitted, almost in a whisper, that she sometimes wondered if she would ever feel joy again outside of her children. Elena listened patiently, offering a gentle smile, a hand on her shoulder, or a comforting nod. She didn't try to solve Maria's grief, she simply shared it with her. The day passed slowly but pleasantly. They visited the small market in the village, buying vegetables, herbs, and a few small treats for the children. Maria felt a sense of normalcy in these moments, a return to life's simple pleasures. She noticed the way Elena's eyes sparkled when she laughed, the way her presence seemed to make everything lighter. It was a feeling Maria had not expected, a feeling she tried to ignore because it frightened her. What if she dared to feel joy again? Would she betray the memory of her husband? In the late afternoon, they returned to Maria's home, carrying their purchases. Maria prepared a small meal, and they ate together, sharing stories and laughter. The sound of Elena's laughter was like music to Maria's ears, a reminder that life could still bring happiness, even after great loss. When the children came home from school, They joined in, making the house feel full and lively. Maria watched the scene with a quiet sense of wonder, realizing that she had begun to enjoy these moments more than she expected. As the day drew to a close, Maria and Elena sat on the porch, watching the sun dip below the horizon. The sky was painted in shades of orange, pink, and purple, and the wind carried the scent of sage and earth once more. Maria felt a strange mixture of peace and uncertainty. She was drawn to Elena, yet she did not fully understand what she felt. Could it be friendship alone, or was it something more? The thought both excited and scared her. Elena reached over and gently squeezed her hand. "You're stronger than you think, Maria," she said softly. "And it's okay to feel happiness again. You deserve it." Maria looked into Elena's eyes, feeling a warmth that went beyond friendship. She realized that she had been living in fear. Fear of moving on, fear of feeling again, fear of betraying the past. But as she sat there, watching the sun disappear, she understood that the heart was capable of healing, and that love could take many forms. She didn't have all the answers, and she wasn't sure what the future held, but for the first time in years, she felt a small spark of hope. That night, after putting her children to bed, Maria sat by the fire with a cup of tea. She thought about the day, about Elena, and about the strange, quiet joy that had settled in her heart. She realized that life could be gentle, even after pain, and that happiness could arrive in unexpected ways. She didn't know what tomorrow would bring, but she felt ready to face it, knowing that she was not alone. As she drifted off to sleep, Maria felt a sense of calm she hadn't felt in years. The world was still full of challenges and heartache, but it was also full of possibility. And for the first time since her husband's passing, she allowed herself to believe that life could be beautiful again. Maria had never expected life to feel this complicated. The quiet spark of hope she had felt the previous evening lingered in her heart like a tiny ember, and she found herself thinking about Elena more often than she realized. It was not only the comfort of her friend's presence that drew her in. It was the way Elena seemed to understand her completely, without needing explanations, without judging her grief. That kind of connection was rare, almost unimaginable to Maria, who had spent so many years believing she would remain a widow forever. The morning light streamed through her kitchen window, and Maria moved quietly around the room, preparing breakfast for her children. She found herself glancing at the empty chair across from her, imagining Elena sitting there. A small smile crept across her face, and she shook her head as if to dismiss the thought. Yet the warmth remained. When the children ran into the kitchen, laughing and chattering about their school day, Maria felt a sense of peace she had not experienced in a long time. She served them breakfast, listening to their stories, all the while thinking about the message she had received from Elena the night before. It was a simple text. "I hope today is a good day for you. Let's walk after lunch?" After sending the children off to school, Maria washed the dishes and stepped outside to breathe in the fresh air. The village was alive with its usual morning activity. Neighbors tending to gardens, children playing in the dirt, elders sitting in the shade, sharing their wisdom. Elena arrived just as Maria was finishing her morning chores, carrying a basket of herbs she had collected from the nearby hills. "Good morning," Elena said, her smile bright and easy. "I brought some sage and rosemary. Thought you could use them for dinner tonight." Maria's lips curved into a genuine smile. "Thank you, Elena. That's thoughtful of you." They began their walk through the village, the dirt paths warm under their feet. They talked about small things at first. The market, the upcoming festival, the new flowers blooming in the gardens, but gradually, the conversation turned deeper. Maria found herself sharing her thoughts and feelings more freely than she had in years. She spoke about her fear of feeling joy again, the loneliness that weighed on her heart, and the memories that sometimes overwhelmed her. Elena listened with quiet patience, her eyes soft with understanding. "I know it's hard," Elena said gently, "but you don't have to carry everything alone. You've given so much love already, you deserve to feel it again." Maria looked down at her feet, unsure how to respond. Her heart ached with both fear and longing. "I don't know if I can," she admitted. "I've been alone for so long. I'm not sure what it would mean to feel like this again." Elena reached out and brushed a loose strand of hair from Maria's face. "It doesn't have to be scary. You don't have to figure it all out right now. Just let yourself feel, a little at a time." As they walked, they passed the small market at the center of the village. The air was filled with the smell of fresh bread, spices, and vegetables. Maria enjoyed these simple pleasures, the sights, the sounds, the laughter of children. She found herself noticing Elena in a new way. The gentle curve of her smile, the warmth in her eyes, the way she laughed at small jokes that Maria didn't even say. Her heart fluttered, and she felt a strange mixture of fear and excitement. At the market, they bought vegetables, fresh bread, and a few small treats for the children. Elena picked up a bright red apple and handed it to Maria. "For your boys," she said with a wink. Maria laughed, feeling lighter than she had in years. The afternoon brought them to the community square, where preparations for the upcoming festival were underway. Banners were hung, music floated through the air, and the aroma of traditional food made Maria's stomach rumble. She and Elena wandered through the square, admiring the decorations and listening to the villagers discuss the event. They stopped to watch children dance and play, their laughter infectious. Maria felt a warmth spread through her chest, a feeling she had not recognized before. It was happiness, small and fragile, but real. As the sun began to dip in the sky, Maria and Elena found a quiet spot by the river that ran near the village. They sat on the grassy bank, watching the water flow. Maria picked up a smooth stone and skipped it across the surface, smiling when it bounced twice before sinking. Elena did the same, their stones skipping in unison, laughter spilling from both of them. "You haven't done this in a long time, have you?" Elena asked, her eyes sparkling. Maria shook her head. "No. It feels nice, though. Simple, but nice." They sat in silence for a while, listening to the gentle sounds of the river, the rustle of leaves, and the occasional chirp of a bird. It was in this quiet that Maria realized how much she valued Elena's presence. It was not just friendship, it was something deeper, something that made her heart beat faster and her chest feel lighter. She tried to push the thought away, telling herself that she couldn't allow herself to feel this way. She had loved once, and that love was sacred. But a small, persistent voice in her heart whispered that it was okay to feel again. As evening approached, they returned to Maria's home. She prepared a simple dinner while Elena helped set the table. The children ran in soon after, eager to share their day's stories. Maria listened, laughing at their antics, and felt a sense of completeness she had not known in years. Elena joined in, making the children laugh even more, and Maria felt a quiet gratitude for her friend. After dinner, the family settled in the living room. The fire crackled softly, and the room was warm with light and conversation. Maria found herself watching Elena as she played with the children, her heart swelling with emotion. She realized that she had begun to depend on Elena's presence in ways she had never anticipated. There was comfort, yes, but also an undeniable pull, a magnetic feeling she could not ignore. Later, as the children went to bed, Maria and Elena sat on the porch, wrapped in the soft glow of the moonlight. The air was cool, carrying the scent of sage and earth. Maria felt a strange mix of fear and longing. She had spent so many years believing she would never love again, but now she was beginning to understand that life could surprise her. Elena reached out, gently taking Maria's hand. "I'm glad we spent the day together," she said softly. "I've missed this. Missed us." Maria felt her heart skip a beat. She looked into Elena's eyes, feeling a connection that was undeniable. I feel the same," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "I've been scared, but I think I've missed it too." They sat there for a long while, holding hands, listening to the night sounds around them. Maria's mind raced with thoughts and emotions, but a small part of her felt calm and safe. For the first time in years, she allowed herself to imagine a future where happiness was possible. where love could return in unexpected ways. That night, as Maria lay in bed, she reflected on the day. The spark of hope she had felt the morning before had grown into something more tangible, something she could not ignore. She realized that life was not about erasing the past, but about finding ways to move forward without losing the love she had once known. Elena had shown her that connection, understanding, and care could exist alongside grief. Maria drifted to sleep with a sense of anticipation and curiosity about what the coming days might bring. She did not have all the answers, and she knew the road ahead would be filled with challenges and uncertainties. But for the first time in years, she felt a quiet joy and the promise of something new, something that could change her life in ways she had never imagined. The morning light crept softly through the curtains, casting a warm glow across the room. Maria slowly opened her eyes and immediately felt a wave of confusion. She was not in her own bed. The soft sheets, the gentle scent of lavender, and the quiet hum of the room all pointed to one thing. She was in Elena's bedroom. For a moment, panic fluttered in her chest. What had happened? How had she ended up here? As she sat up, trying to piece together the events of the previous night, memories began to return: quiet conversation by the fire, laughter shared over the children's stories, a walk along the river, and finally, the lingering closeness that had built between them as they sat under the moonlight. She remembered Elena's hand brushing against hers, the warmth of her presence, the words softly exchanged in the quiet night. Her heart raced, a mix of fear, confusion, and something else she could not quite name. She felt a strange, fluttering warmth in her chest, an unfamiliar emotion that both excited and scared her. She glanced at Elena, who was still asleep, the soft rise and fall of her chest visible under the covers. For a moment, Maria just watched her, feeling the depth of the connection that had grown between them in recent days. She quietly moved to the edge of the bed, careful not to wake Elena. Her mind raced with questions. What did this mean? Had they crossed a line? Could she allow herself to feel this closeness without guilt? The fear of betrayal, the memory of her late husband pressed against her heart, but beneath it, another feeling began to bloom. A quiet acknowledgement that love could take unexpected forms. Eventually, Elena stirred and opened her eyes, blinking slowly in the soft morning light. "Good morning," she whispered, a small smile tugging at her lips. "You're awake." Maria nodded, unsure what to say. I'm sorry," she began, her voice trembling slightly. "I didn't mean for—" Elena reached out, gently placing a hand on Maria's arm. "Shh. It's okay," she said softly. "There's nothing to be sorry for. I didn't push you. I just wanted to be close to you. That's all." Maria felt a mix of relief and embarrassment. She had not expected to feel so vulnerable, so exposed, and yet, in that moment, she realized something important. This closeness, this connection, was not something to fear. It was real, and it was mutual. Elena had felt it too. They sat in silence for a while, the morning sun streaming through the window, bathing the room in warmth. Maria felt her heart begin to calm, the panic slowly easing as she focused on the quiet presence of her friend. The world outside the window moved on as usual, birds chirping, children laughing in the distance, the soft rustle of leaves in the wind. But inside the room, time seemed to stretch, allowing them a moment to simply exist together. Finally, Maria spoke, her voice low and hesitant. I didn't expect to feel like this. I've been so used to being alone, to thinking I would never, feel this again." Elena nodded, her eyes soft with understanding. "I know," she said, "and I was scared too. Scared that this would be wrong, that it would hurt you somehow. But when I'm with you, I feel alive, Maria. I feel whole in a way I haven't before." Maria's chest tightened, and tears welled in her eyes. She had spent years mourning, believing she would never love again, and now she found herself confronted with emotions she had tried to bury. She wanted to run, to retreat to the safety of her routine and her children, but a deeper, stronger part of her wanted to stay. She wanted to explore this new possibility. Even if it frightened her, Elena reached out again, gently brushing a tear from Maria's cheek. "It's okay to feel, Maria. You don't have to hide it. You don't have to apologize for it." Maria took a deep breath, letting the words sink in. She realized that she had been holding herself back for so long, trapped by fear and memories of the past. But in this quiet room, with Elena's hand resting lightly on hers, she understood that love could be gentle, kind, and healing. It didn't erase the past. It simply allowed her to move forward while honoring what she had lost. As the morning passed, they talked quietly, sharing their thoughts and fears. They spoke of the grief that still lingered, of the guilt and hesitation that came with opening one's heart again. But they also spoke of hope, of the small sparks of happiness that had begun to appear in their lives. With each word, each touch, they felt the bond between them deepen, growing stronger and more undeniable. By mid-morning, Maria felt a sense of clarity she hadn't experienced in years. She realized that the connection she felt with Elena was not fleeting or shallow. It was genuine, rooted in trust, understanding, and shared experience. She began to see a future where love could exist again, not as a replacement for what she had lost, but as a continuation of life, a chance to heal and grow. Elena smiled, sensing the shift in Maria. "You're thinking about it," she said gently. "You don't have to say it out loud if you're not ready." "But I can see it." Maria laughed softly, a sound she hadn't heard from herself in a long time. "I am," she admitted. "And I'm scared. But I think I want this. I think I want us." Elena's eyes brightened, and she leaned closer, her hand finding Maria's once more. "Then we'll take it one step at a time," she said. "No rush, no pressure. Just us." The day continued in a quiet, comfortable rhythm. They prepared breakfast together, shared simple tasks around the house, and even stepped outside for a brief walk in the garden. Each moment was filled with subtle touches, shared smiles, and the unspoken understanding that something significant was happening between them. Maria found herself laughing more easily, her heart lighter than it had been in years. When the children returned from school, the house was filled with life again. Maria watched Elena interact with them, the way she laughed, helped with homework, and listened to their stories. Her heart swelled with gratitude and admiration. Elena was more than a friend, she was a companion, a source of strength, and now, something more profound than Maria had ever expected to find. As evening fell, Maria and Elena prepared a simple dinner together. The kitchen was filled with the aroma of herbs and fresh bread, and the soft light from the setting sun cast long shadows across the room. They worked side by side, occasionally brushing hands or exchanging a glance that spoke volumes. It was a quiet intimacy, a connection built on trust and understanding, and Maria felt a sense of peace she had not known in years. After dinner, they sat on the porch, watching the sky turn shades of orange and pink. The air was cool and fragrant, with the scent of sage from the garden. Maria felt a wave of contentment wash over her, tempered by the lingering nervousness about the depth of her feelings. She knew that opening her heart again was risky, but she also understood that avoiding it would mean denying herself the possibility of happiness. Elena turned to her, her expression soft and tender. "Maria," she said gently, "I know this is all new, and it might feel overwhelming. But I want you to know that whatever happens, I care about you. I've always cared." Maria's eyes filled with tears, a mixture of relief, joy, and longing. "I care about you too," she whispered. "More than I expected to. More than I thought I could." They sat in silence, the world around them quieting as the night fell. Maria felt a deep sense of connection, a realization that she was no longer alone. She had found someone who understood her grief, shared her joys, and now, awakened feelings she had thought were buried forever. As she drifted off to sleep that night, Maria felt a mixture of anticipation and comfort. She did not know exactly what the future held, But for the first time in many years, she felt ready to embrace it. She understood that love could be complicated, surprising, and even frightening, but it could also heal, nurture, and bring joy. And in that quiet moment, as the moon cast its gentle light through the window, Maria allowed herself to hope again. She allowed herself to imagine a life where grief and love could coexist, where she could honor the past while embracing the present, and where happiness could arrive in the most unexpected ways. The days after that morning were filled with quiet joy and careful exploration. Maria felt a sense of hope she had not known in years, a lightness in her heart that both surprised and comforted her. She and Elena were learning to navigate this new part of their lives together, slowly, gently, and without pressure. Each day brought moments of laughter, shared stories, and the deepening understanding that they were no longer alone in the world. Maria noticed the subtle changes in herself. She felt lighter when she woke, looking forward to the day. She laughed more freely, and even the small challenges of daily life seemed easier to bear. She watched her children grow, their curiosity and energy filling her home with life. And she noticed how Elena seamlessly fit into this world. The children loved her too, drawn to her kindness, her gentle humor, and the way she made every moment feel special. Their friendship had always been strong, but now it carried a new depth, a bond that blended care, affection, and love. Maria still felt moments of fear, wondering what others might think or if she was moving too quickly. But those fears were tempered by the certainty that Elena's presence was a gift, a reminder that life could offer happiness even after deep loss. One morning, as the sun rose over the horizon, Maria found herself preparing breakfast while Elena arranged the table. The children were still asleep, and the house was filled with a calm, golden light. Maria looked at Elena and felt her heart swell. "I'm glad you're here," she said softly. Elena smiled, brushing a strand of hair from Maria's face. "I'm glad too. I've missed mornings like this, simple, quiet, together." The day passed in gentle rhythm. They tended to the garden, helped the children with schoolwork, and visited neighbors with small gifts of food or herbs. Each shared moment brought them closer. Maria noticed herself thinking less about her loneliness and more about the future she could have with Elena. She began to imagine plans, small and large, and felt a sense of excitement she hadn't felt in years. The villagers, while initially surprised by the closeness between Maria and Elena, gradually began to accept it. Some were curious, asking questions or giving quiet smiles, while others offered words of support. Maria was grateful for the understanding, realizing that love, in its many forms, was not something to be hidden or ashamed of. She felt proud to live openly, without fear, and to show her children that happiness could take many shapes. As the weeks went by, Maria and Elena found new ways to connect. They cooked meals together, shared stories from their pasts, and even learned new skills side by side. Maria taught Elena how to prepare certain traditional dishes, and Elena showed Maria small techniques in gardening and craftwork she had never tried before. They laughed often, sometimes over mistakes in the kitchen or a plant that refused to grow. These moments were small but precious, weaving a tapestry of shared life that felt natural and enduring. One evening, after a long day of working in the garden, they sat on the porch watching the sunset. The children were playing nearby, their laughter carried by the wind. Maria felt a deep sense of contentment. "I never thought I would feel like this again," she said softly, her eyes reflecting the colors of the sky. Elena reached out, holding her hand. "Neither did I," she admitted. "But sometimes life surprises us, doesn't it?" Maria nodded, a tear slipping down her cheek, not of sorrow, but of gratitude and joy. "It does," she whispered. They faced challenges, of course. There were days when Maria felt guilt or doubt creep in, when the memories of her late husband pressed on her heart. But Elena was always there, patient and understanding, reminding her that moving forward did not mean forgetting the past. Their love was not a replacement, but a continuation, a new chapter built on the foundation of what had come before. As the seasons changed, their relationship grew stronger. They celebrated festivals together, welcoming neighbors and friends into their home. Maria's children watched as the bond between the two women deepened, learning lessons of compassion, understanding, and the importance of love in all its forms. They saw the laughter, the quiet moments of care, and the unspoken support that flowed between Maria and Elena. Maria began to realize that love was not just a feeling, but a choice, a decision to be present, to care, and to support one another through life's challenges. She saw it in Elena's eyes every morning, in the gentle touch of her hand, in the way she encouraged Maria to pursue her dreams and face her fears. And she felt it in herself, a growing certainty that this was where she was meant to be. One day, as they worked together in the garden, Maria paused and looked at Elena. "Do you ever think about the future?" she asked. Elena smiled, wiping sweat from her brow. "All the time," she replied. "And I see us here, together, building a life that's full of love, laughter, and peace. I see our family, and I see happiness." "Do you?" Maria nodded, her heart full. "Yes, I see it too. And I'm ready for it." Anquan. That evening, they sat together by the fire, sharing a quiet meal and reflecting on the journey that had brought them here. Maria thought about the years of grief, the loneliness, and the fear that had once filled her heart. She realized that every painful moment had led her to this place, to this love, and to this possibility of happiness. She understood now that life could be gentle and kind, even after loss, and that joy could arrive in unexpected ways. Elena looked at her, her eyes soft and full of affection. "Maria, I know the past was hard, but I want you to know that the present and the future can be beautiful. We can make them beautiful together." Maria reached across the table, taking Elena's hand in hers. "We will," she said firmly, a smile lighting her face. "I believe it. I really do." The days turned into weeks, and the weeks into months. Maria and Elena built a life together, filled with laughter, shared responsibilities, and mutual respect. They learned to balance love and family, work and leisure, grief and joy. Every day was a step forward, a small but meaningful choice to embrace happiness and allow themselves to grow together. Maria's children thrived in this environment of love and stability. They learned that it was possible to care deeply for someone while honoring the past, that life could be full of surprises, and that happiness could arrive when least expected. They saw their mother smile more often, hear her laughter ring through the house, and witness the quiet moments of affection that built a strong and enduring family bond. The village began to accept their relationship fully. Neighbors saw the joy that Elena brought to Maria's life, and the stability and happiness that surrounded the children. Some offered gentle advice, others offered friendship and support. Maria realized that love, when genuine and kind, could not only heal hearts but also inspire understanding in others. Over time, Maria and Elena developed routines and traditions of their own. They celebrated small victories, comforted each other during difficult moments, and created a home where everyone felt valued and loved. They shared stories, passed down family recipes, and honored the memories of those they had lost while building a life that was fully their own. Maria often reflected on the journey that had brought her here. She remembered the grief, the long nights of solitude, and the quiet despair that had once consumed her. She also remembered the small gestures of kindness, the laughter shared with Elena, and the moments of quiet understanding that had allowed her heart to open again. She realized that love was not something to fear, but something to embrace, even in its most unexpected forms. As the sun set on another peaceful evening, Maria and Elena sat on the porch, hand in hand, watching the sky turn brilliant shades of red and gold. The children played nearby, their laughter echoing across the yard. Maria felt a deep sense of gratitude, a recognition that life could be gentle, kind, and full of love, even after loss. Elena turned to her and smiled. "We've come a long way, haven't we?" Maria nodded, her eyes glistening. "Yes, we have. And I wouldn't trade a single step of this journey, not even the painful ones. They brought me to you. And to this." They sat together in silence, letting the quiet of the evening settle around them. Maria felt a profound sense of peace. She understood now that life was a collection of moments, some filled with sorrow, others with joy. But it was in the embracing of both that true happiness was found. She had learned to love again, to open her heart, and to embrace the possibilities of the future. And in that quiet, golden moment, Maria allowed herself to fully believe in love, in hope, and in the beauty of unexpected happiness. She knew that life would continue to bring challenges, but she also knew that with Elena by her side, she could face anything. Together, they had created a life filled with laughter, tenderness, and shared dreams, a life that honored the past while embracing the promise of tomorrow.